This is The Space Shot, episode 348 for April 27th, 2018. Lots of launches. I'm John Molnix. SpaceX has had a very busy year with 8 launches so far. The next launch that's coming up is the maiden flight of the Block 5 variant of the Falcon 9, which will allow for more rapid reusability and increased performance. The launch date for the Block 5 has moved to May 7th due to some forecasted unfavorable weather. As long as SpaceX is able to keep their manifest on schedule, they'll move into double digits for the number of launches they've made in 2018 by the end of May. Contrast that launch cadence with the number of missions flown in 2015. There were just 7 successful ones for the entire year. On April 27, 2015, a SpaceX Falcon 9 launched a satellite that's jointly operated by Turkmenistan and Monaco. That launch was the 5th successful launch of 2015 for SpaceX. The loss of CRS-7 changed the cadence for the company as they had to perform an investigation into the loss of that vehicle. The pace of launches has increased dramatically over the last 3 years, hence the title of today's episode. Be on the lookout for more launches soon from SpaceX, the United Launch Alliance, Rocket Lab with their Electron rocket, and Orbital ATK with their upcoming Antares launch in May. There's also a Blue Origin flight coming up here soon, so be sure to watch on Facebook for links to those events. There's going to be launches from both coasts and 3 launch sites here in the United States: Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, Wallops Island in Virginia, and Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, and also Kennedy Space Center. Since we're talking about launches today, I've got 2 more launch anniversaries to mention. The first one I want to talk about is Ariel 1, which launched late in the day on April 26, 1962. It was the first British satellite and the namesake of the Ariel program that started in the early 1960s. The launch vehicle was a Thor Delta rocket, a type of rocket that carried many older payloads into space. I've talked about Starfish Prime a few times before on the podcast, way back in episode 56. The Starfish Prime test took place in July of 1962, just months after the launch of Ariel 1. A Thor missile was launched into space where it detonated a 1.4 megaton nuclear warhead, which created an artificial aurora that was visible for thousands of miles. To put the explosive force of this test in perspective, the 1.4 megaton yield of this explosion was equal to roughly half of all the explosive power of the bombs dropped in World War II, including the nuclear bombs that were used against Japan. The power and explosive effects of the bomb that was used in the Starfish test were truly spectacular. Satellites like Ariel 1 and the original AT&T Telstar satellite were adversely affected by this weapons test. For Ariel, this detonation marked the end of its mission, which was to study astronomy as well as solar and space physics. The Ariel 1 launch was an important milestone because it marked the time that the United Kingdom became the 3rd country to have a satellite, behind the Soviet Union and the United States. The last topic for today is the launch of Explorer 11. The spacecraft was meant to, quote, detect the sources of high-energy gamma rays during its operational life. The Explorer program has included some genuinely fantastic missions over the past 60 years. I've talked about this program in more detail in numerous episodes, most recently number 316, so be sure to listen to it if you'd like to learn more. Tomorrow, we study Earth science with Calypso, look at a Discovery mission, and learn about Tito. No, not Tito Jackson, but Dennis Tito. I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. I appreciate each and every one of you that listen to the podcast every day. I'd be incredibly grateful if you could share the podcast with your friends and family. Tag one of them and let them know about your favorite episode. I'd also really appreciate it if you could venture into the Apple Podcasts app or your podcast app of choice and leave a review for The Space Shot. A steady stream of reviews helps ensure The Space Shot is more visible in the Apple Podcasts app. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or check out the links in the show notes and you'll find me. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.